Welcome back, everybody. Anne Widdecombe and Andy West are with me. Later, it's the papers and everything else we need to talk about, including young people who say they are not proud to be British. But now, do MPs deserve a pay rise? Let me take you over to our front bench. Let's have a look at this. Now, MPs currently make £91,346 a year. There we are. I suspect people make a good deal less than this. That's whether they're a 20-something who got elected in July or they've been in the job for decades. Now, it's expected to increase to £93,904. That's in the coming year. MP's pay is set by the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority, and that's what they're proposing. That is an increase, get this, of 2.8%. It's a 2.8% boost. It's 2% boost. An announcement said it's in line with government pay recommendations for public sector workers who were also given 2.8% in a rise this year. Now, of course, many MPs have second jobs. The Economist revealed second job, right? That MPs raked in £65 million in extra earnings over the past 15 years. That's a lot of money. And as I understand it, your leader made about £1 million
more
in extra job. Now, we'll come on to that. There will be a consultation before a final decision on the pay rise is made. But do you think MPs deserve more money from the taxpayer? What do you reckon? I have to say, I've got, people in my eye going, there are callers who have very strong opinions about this, to say the least.
They will.
What do you think, Anne?
Well, first of all, it's never the right time for an MP's pay rise. Right. I mean, never has been. Not in all my experience in Parliament did anybody ever cheer when the MP's got a pay rise. You ask if they deserve it. I mean, I don't think the current lot are doing a particularly good job, but I think MPs should be properly paid. I think it's right that it's set independently. It used to be set by MPs themselves. When I first went into Parliament, we used to vote on our own pay rises. That doesn't happen anymore. But can I just introduce something completely different into the discussion, which is I think you need to restructure the whole of MPs' remuneration. And instead of having allowances for living away from home and allowances for this and allowances for that, you, apart from travel, which is obviously different, you simply amalgamate the allowances with the salary, which would mean a huge jump. But then you say to MPs, no more allowances, it's now up to you what you do with them.
I mean, your leader made £571,000.
Yes, because he's very able.
No, I hear that. But you can understand why some people might think in those circumstances why an MP isn't...
No. If I were a teacher and I wrote a successful novel, and that novel earned me a six-figure sum, nobody would complain. You're only complaining because it's an MP, that's all.
Well, I mean, I have to say I have not earned a six-figure sum. I've not earned a five-figure sum from my successful novel, The Betrayal of Thomas True, out now. No, but Nigel Farage has made over £1 million. Suella Braverman has made hundreds of thousands, I think, from speaking tours. And also, there is the resettlement fee. We never mentioned this. You could just get rid of that. Why not get rid of that? When you leave being an MP, you also get, was it 30 grand or something? Because you find it difficult to get another job? What?
The fact is that when you leave as an MP, first of all, you may just be slung out in an election. So you're just the same as anybody else in the country that needs redundancy.
But you've been on 90 grand a year.
But secondly, you have to give up the house that you've got. If you're renting, you may already be locked into leases. There are complications.
Let's hear what James from Merseyside has to say. James, do you think they're entitled to more, close to 100,000? What do you reckon?
Certainly not. I don't know where they put what they've got, let alone have a pay rise. They're not an MP for very long. As soon as they get in, they become a minister, a ministerial advisor, a shadow minister, etc., on a select committee, and the salary, the MP rate trebles.
Many people don't. You know, I wonder this just to give you some help. In Italy, they get €180,000. Australia get more. Singapore get a great deal more as well. One of the things, James, that people say is that, you know what, we've got some rubbish people who have become MPs who've never had jobs outside of Parliament. If you want to attract the best, you have to kind of pay the most. What do you reckon to that, James?
the thing is, they're not the best. Obviously not, else well, Farage is a very well-off person outside of Parliament. He's doing it because of what he believes in. I'm not really interested in him as a politician, but for this argument,
Right.
they get treble. They're not they become a minister or a shadow
I'm going to stop you
minister.
there. Just to be clear, ministers get a separate salary on top of what they do for the actual
Shadow
job.
ministers get nothing.
Right, exactly. And shadow ministers, you're right to say that, don't get anything because they're working in executive. They're working in executive, so they have to do a full-time job. The Prime Minister can't earn money outside of what he's doing. Richard, I'm going to come to you. You're in Essex. As I understand it, you're not too upset about all of this.
Well, I am upset and not upset, but I think an MP should get £100,000 a year to be the MP.
Why that sum?
Well, I'm just rounding it up, making it easier, right? But they don't get any expenses. They get no cheap meals in the Houses of Parliament. They get no cheap wine in the Houses of Parliament. They have to pay for, like all of us, they have to pay everything else, like the travelling expenses. They want to travel around the country and all that. It comes out.
Richard,
of
I think we've got the.
Richard,
I think we've got the Richard from Essex proposal, and I can hear Anne bristling to my left. Rosie in Essex.
Oh, come on!
Do you agree with Richard in the same county?
Well, our MP actually is really good. However, it's too extortionate. The money's too extortionate. And what's happened, if we were happy with what's gone on within government, we would say fair enough, they deserve it. But what has happened, Labour have just come in, they've been absolutely abysmal. While they were in opposition, absolutely abysmal. We've had the Conservatives who completely dropped the ball. And while they were in government, you had Labour didn't do it. People like myself, I'm in my 60s, I work 2 days a week. Can I just say something, please? What it was is that, thank you, is that working full-time, which majority of people who are watching this programme are, they haven't got the time to know what these MPs are doing. And it's only because I've got time now, I'm realising they don't deserve it.
Well, I hear you, Rosie. You've made your point. Ian from Dundee. Rosie says they're not worth it because, frankly, the people from the big parties are all rubbish. And they don't deserve the money. Now, no doubt, in due course, Anne and Andy are going to remind us that MPs do a lot of work that you don't necessarily see in constituencies and in their surgery. Do you think that they're worth close to £100,000, Ian?
What I was saying was the fact that basically MPs are allowed a pay rise, and that's what I was phoning up about. They're allowed a pay rise, but my point is, see, when MPs get a pay rise, it should be applied to the whole of the civil service. There's been times in the past where MPs...
Well, I'm going to cut you short because the civil service, you might be delighted to hear, Ian in Dundee, well, they're going to get the same pay rise, 2.8%. Andy?
I must counter this myth, and it works the same in politics, it works the same in the corporate sector as well. We have to pay more because that's the way to get the best people. No, it isn't. What complete nonsense. I don't believe that Anne Widdecombe would have gone into politics less because there was less money in it. You did it because you're passionate.
I took a pay cut.
The politicians we need to run this country are people who are passionate about making this country a better place, including for poorer people. And you're not going to get the people who understand what real life is like by saying we have to pay £90,000 to get them.
That's true. It's a calling. It's not about the money.
It's a calling, but it is also about the money because most MPs, I didn't, but they have families, they have to keep them. But I just wanted to answer that nonsense about, shouldn't get travelling. What? You're going to travel to Highlands and Islands every week at your own expense? Don't be ridiculous. MPs are paid the allowances in order to be able to do what they've got to do that other people don't have to do. Do you have to run two houses? Do you have to run two houses?
So the people out there going, why should an MP, granted who might work very hard in their surgery, get paid more than a nurse?
Why should anybody get paid more than anybody else? That's a communist argument.
Right. It's not a... well,
yes, it is.
Who knew?
Yes, it is. We all have the same...
I thought I was Rob Rinder. It turns out I'm Karl Marx. That's the first for me. I'm very sorry, Mum. Now, after the break, it's the papers and everything else.